Hey friends, welcome. I'm George. Today I'm going to show you 4 methods that I use to keep all the bulk food that I buy fresh. I'm also going to expose the dangers involved in trying to keep your food fresh. Believe it or not, if you're not doing it right, you could be putting your life at risk. I'm going to introduce you to space-saving containers and containment systems, and also what containers you should avoid because they might contain harmful chemicals. I own a restaurant. And even though I go through a lot of volume, there are times where it's far better for me to buy certain food items in bulk, even if I don't use them right away because of the cost savings. Now, you may have experienced these savings at a big box store where the larger packages they sell of the same products you buy in the supermarket could often be half as expensive. But it doesn't make sense to buy food in bulk if it's going to get stale or spoil. So how do you store all that extra food if you're not going to use it right away? But most importantly, how do you do it safely? There are many ways to achieve this, starting with the packaging your food arrives in, disposable containers, plastic and glass containers, storage containment systems, and vacuum sealers. Each one has their pros and cons. Today, I'm going to see how effective these methods are at keeping your food fresh, but it's not so hard to put your health at risk. Every 3 years for the past 46 years, I attend classes and I'm recertified as a licensed food manager from the Department of Health Services. And they frown upon how you may be storing your food at home. Look at the top of this bunch of bananas. Because it's sealed and protected from the air, the bananas stay fresh. There's no need for the producer to put the bunch of bananas in a plastic bag any longer. And because here in the United States, we consume nearly 6.4 billion pounds of bananas each year, by purchasing bananas with this top rather than the ones in plastic bags, you can do your part to keep plastic out of the landfills. Thanks. I'm going to put each one of these bananas inside of each storage system and see which bananas look the freshest after a week. These are typical bags that bulk food comes in. Usually the top is like a poor quality version of a Ziploc bag. Now, it is designed to be resealed, but they don't usually work very well, and they're really quite frustrating to reclose. But here's a pro tip. If you take one of these large binders, they're really cheap, they're super useful, and they're available on Amazon. You could roll the bag shut and then close it with one of those. I keep a bunch of these in my kitchen drawer. They're cheap and effective way of keeping a bag sealed. So I'm gonna take one of these bananas, I'm gonna put it in this macadamia nut bag, try to push as much air as I can out of it, and then I'm gonna just seal it using the sealed lip on the top of the bag. Then I'm gonna take another banana, put it in this empty organic pumpkin seed bag, and I'm gonna push the air out as much as I can, but rather than seal it, I'm just gonna clip it shut with 2 of these binders because the banana's bigger than the bag. These are my go-to containers. Well, they're my to-go containers, and these happen to be BPA free, and for the most part, the industry is moving away from adding BPAs to their products. So bisphenol A, BPA, is an organic synthetic compound. It's used in the production of polycarbonate plastic, widely found in packaging for food and drinks. It's often found in medical devices. It's found in dental materials, thermal paper. So BPA can contaminate food. It can contaminate your beverages especially, and air and soil. So products containing BPAs, this one doesn't, are slowly becoming illegal. New York has made it illegal for any products designed for use by children under 3 years of age to have BPAs in them, like baby bottles. So if you happen to find a good deal at a dollar store on a sleeve of these, just make sure that they specifically say BPA free on their packaging. Let's see if we could fit a banana here. I'll pick a small one. Make me proud. All right. I also want to see how these Ziploc bags do. So I'm just going to store one banana in a Ziploc bag as you normally would put products in a Ziploc bag, trying to squeeze as much of the air out as I can. Then I'm going to try another technique. Probably seen this online, it's pretty popular. Take another banana, I'm going to put it in this Ziploc bag, and then I'm going to submerge the whole thing in water. And what that's supposed to do is supposed to push the air out, the atmospheric pressure from the water, pushes the air out of the bag. It's supposed to create a better kind of a seal than if you were to try to push it out manually. Clearly, you got to be careful not to get water in the bag when you're doing this. So let's see if this effect actually helps to retain the color of the banana more so than just using a regular Ziploc bag. I don't think it did much, but let's see. Now, I prefer to use glass, especially when food-saving liquid or hot products. It's not that I don't trust manufacturers, it's just that I don't trust manufacturers tomorrow. The safe products of today seem to be unsafe in the future. So I will use plastic containers for dry items, but sparingly. Whenever I can use glass, I go for glass. Now, glass may be a problem for you. If you still have young children at home who love to serve themselves when you're sleeping, and you know, sometimes it's not so easy to remove the lid if you have problems with your hands, so sometimes you have no choice but to use plastic. Now, I really like mason jars, and I also really like these square containers because they use up my cabinet space more efficiently. So I purchased this vacuum sealer for a mason jar on Amazon, and the links to all this stuff that I'm going to showcase today, they're affiliate links. Disclaimer, I get a little percentage of the sale if you buy from my affiliate link, but it doesn't raise the price of whatever you're purchasing. So let's put one of these bananas inside of this mason jar. You put the lid on, so you just place this on top like this. So there's two sizes, right? This one is for narrow mouth mason jars. This one is for large mouth mason jars. You just put this on top like this, turn it on, and after 30 seconds, it should be sealed, which it is. You just put your screw top lid on top. Let's see how that fares. These square glass containers, they come in all sorts of different sizes and sets, but they don't offer a way to create a vacuum inside. You're basically relying on this silicone lip to keep the air out. But what I do like about them, you don't lose any space, because if you put round jars together, you're going to have a bigger gap in the center. Even though these have rounded corners, you should be able to put more in your cabinet than if you were just using round containers. So let's see how these fare with no vacuum at all. Oh, come on, baby. Okay. And this is the set that I really love the most. Zwilling makes a whole vacuum system that they use, which is pretty awesome. They claim that their plastic is BPA free. I gotta tell you, it's rock solid. It's super, super durable. But if you're not into plastic and it scares you, they also make this in glass, which is really, really awesome. This is the Zwilling Fresh Save system, and part of it comes with this vacuum pump. They also have very dense silicone bags. This comes in all different sizes. It really is a fantastic system. And basically what you do is you take your container. In this case, we're going to put our banana in it. Oh, fit. Okay. And you put the lid on top. This is rechargeable, and you put this on top and just press the button. You can hear the pitch change as the vacuum increases, like the motor gets more strained. And this stops automatically, unlike the mason jar vacuum sealer, which didn't seem to stop automatically. Another thing that I really like about this Zwilling system is their containers, some of them have these sleeves. So if you have something that may be light sensitive, this isn't the right container, this snaps onto the container and the products are covered, which is smart. So here's my vacuum sealer. I have had this in my possession for, wow, it's got to be at least 20 years. It's indispensable. It comes with bags. Again, these are BPA free. There's two styles that I like to use. I like the infinite bag that's a roll, so you can cut it to whatever length that you want, so you're not limited by the size of the bag. But I also like these. You can see that the top part of this bag has a Ziploc seal on it, so you can put stuff in it, seal the bottom, and then when you decide to use it, you can open it like a Ziploc bag and then reseal it. It gives you a little bit more protection than if you were to, say, put it in this bag system, tear it, seal it, cut it, tear it open, and then you really, unless you use one of my handy dandy binder clips, you really have no way of kind of sealing the air out of the bag. Let's see which bananas ripen the least over the next few days. But until then, I want to talk about certain dangers involved with food storage, specifically vacuum sealing. In order for me to have a vacuum sealer in my restaurant, I have to get special permission from the Department of Health. And one of the things they're concerned about is what's called anaerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria cannot live without air, but anaerobic bacteria can. So even though the food can keep from spoiling in a vacuum, under the right conditions, anaerobic bacteria can multiply. And the worst part about them is that they can be totally tasteless and scentless. Do not defrost vacuum sealed food without breaking the vacuum, and never ever defrost food at room temperature. And beware of this as well. Fresh garlic that you've placed in oil needs to be kept in a refrigerator. Garlic stored in oil at room temperature that is not commercially sealed kills people. Okay, so it's been a little over 5 days. This is my control. This was the banana that was just left out on the counter, and you can see that it's turned quite brown. And let's see what would happen with these two packages here. So the first package is just a standard package that comes with your bulk food, which has its own built-in mediocre quality Ziploc bag. See what the banana looks like in there. And it kind of held up okay. Better than the one that was left out at room temperature. And there's the one that I sealed with these binder clips, which I highly recommend you use because they just make it so much easier to pinch close these bags. And it looks like it did a better job. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that. There's your control. This one was with the binder clips, and this one was without the binder clips. So these bags here, even though they have a seal, they really don't seal very well. So if you're going to use the reusable bag, this works pretty good. So not too bad. Okay. Now this container here had no vacuum seal whatsoever. So take a look at that. And again, comparing it to the control, we could see that it really did a pretty nice job. Very similar to the bag that had the binder clips on it. So right now, the worst protection was just the bag that the bulk storage comes in. The second worst would be the bag with the binder clips, and the third is just this plain container without a vacuum seal. All right, let's take a look at our Ziploc containers. This is the one that was just placed in a Ziploc bag, and we'll take a look at that. And again, compared to the control, much better than it just being left out at room temperature. Just about the same as the bag with the binder clips, so they're about equal. And this is the one where I took the Ziploc bag and I submerged it in water to push out more air. And it seems like the difference between the two is negligible. So whether you push the air out with water or not, maybe it's actually a little bit better. I would say they're pretty close. Again, we're talking about a banana here that's going to ripen fairly quickly. If you're going to be storing something for weeks at a time or even months, it makes the most amount of sense to get as much air as you possibly can out of the container. So I'm really curious about my to-go container here. This is the one where this I bruised because I had to stuff it in there. It didn't really fit, but very, very similar. These three here are without any vacuum, seem to be just as good, if not almost better than the other ones. This one here is the one that was sealed with a vacuum. That was with this device here, the vacuum sealer that just goes right on top of the mason jar. Wow, that's like perfect. So vacuum sealing really makes a difference. Look at the difference between what was on the counter and what was vacuum sealed. So that clearly, this is the best of the lot for sure. Let's take a look at the Zwilling setup here. This is, well, again, vacuum sealed. Oh, there, pinch the lid. There we go. Creates a really nice vacuum. A little bruised here, but this actually did worse of a job, it seems like, than the mason jar sealer. But again, it could be just bruises on the banana. So far, the winning one here is the one with the mason jar sealer, and second best would be the Zwilling system. Now, clearly, the Zwilling system is like very luxurious. You can get all different sizes. You can get glass, you can get polycarbonate. They're rectangular, they're square, they're all different shapes. They even have these vacuum seal bags. So it's a whole setup. It's an ecosystem for food storage. Each one of these comes with a sleeve. It's a good system. Again, if you want to go through the process of vacuum sealing, now the downside of vacuum sealing with this is it literally takes 40 seconds. The instructions say you should put this on top of the jar for 40 seconds. So you got to ask yourself, do I really want to wait 40 seconds? The Zwilling was a little bit faster, but the Zwilling also didn't seem to do as much of a great job, as good a job as the vacuum sealing that came with the mason jar vacuum sealer. Lastly here, we have our vacuum sealed banana. And look, it's interesting because it was perfectly vacuum sealed, but if you see this, I guess the gases from the banana actually inflated some air. Let's take a look at that banana. And it's a little bit more bruised. So it's a little worse than the Zwilling. Surprising. It seemed it was sealed all the way. I don't know what happened. The winner here was the banana that was stored in the mason jar using this vacuum sealer. Now clearly you're not gonna just use one method, right? You're not gonna get a vacuum sealer for your cereal. You're going to use a container like this or a container like this, and for you storing your meat, you're not going to put your meat in this and put that in the refrigerator. So everything has its pluses and minuses, but the bottom line is this: keeping air away from your food will definitely make your food stay fresh. And again, when you're dealing with things like anaerobic environments where you're dealing with, say, garlic or root vegetables, you want to be super careful to make sure that they are refrigerated. If you like this video, there is a video right here that also does a lot of other product comparison videos, and the goal is to promote healthy eating and saving money and cooking like a professional. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.